Hello, Holly. This is Bernie Sanders. I'm calling you from my beach house in Vermont. I just bought it with the $600,000 I sold out to Hillary for. Now, let me tell you something about the banks. We've got to destroy the banks. Why do they chain the pens to the desks? We need to break the banks up into little pieces, flush them down the toilet, and put them back together, and then they're going to pay for tuition for everybody. Because we need a revolution. Millions of people in the street. Oh, I sold out already. I'm sorry, Holly.
Good evening, Bernie, a.k.a. In God I Do Trust. Listen, people, when you're watching this, it really sounds just like him, but more importantly for you to know is that's exactly what he did. He took all this money from all these people, millions of people all over the country, $5, $2, $1.
$27.
Thank you. Money these people needed, money they don't have to give to people, money they trusted him to do the right thing with. And what
now
did
the
he do?
millennials can't even find Pokemon as a result.
Well, they support it. They're looking for Pokemon. One guy fell off a cliff yesterday looking for Pokemon.
Yes. And another guy got shot and killed in San Francisco looking for
Well, at least it was in Milwaukee.
All right, I want to talk about the Office of Imaginary Information. This is something that In God I Do Trust brought to my attention, and I absolutely loved it, which is why I wanted him to be on the show. I wanted to explain, although I know a lot of you out there already know, I wanted him to explain just exactly what the hell the Office of Imaginary Information is. What is it, In God I Do Trust?
Let me tell you what it is. As you recall, when Obama was elected in 2008, we started hearing, there's 94 million people unemployed right now. 94 million American people unemployed because they're not being counted in these fake unemployment numbers. So if you really look at things, the current unemployment rate is probably about 16 to 20%, whereas our Office of Imaginary Information, which is well, now it's called the media, I guess, really, that's what it comes down to. They were covering for him for 8 years, 7.5 years now. Oh no, the unemployment number there, it's 4.9%, it's 3%. Pretty soon it'll be 0%, the way they're going. They lie.
Yes.
Now the new name for the media is in the media, because they're out to get us. It's not just Trump. Trump's a voice for the American people.
Yes, he is.
The media hates Americans. I honestly believe that now.
Well, unfortunately, I agree with you, In God I Do Trust. Now, off of that subject just for a minute, I want you to think about and talk about and tell me what you think about the fact that Hillary Clinton can't stand up when she's at a rally. She is in such poor condition physically that she needs to lean on somebody. She had Joe Biden holding her up at her rally the other day. She had hardly anybody there. So would you tell me your opinion, as In God I Do Trust, a regular American person? Give me your opinion of why this woman is not in jail. Hillary has to be held up at her rally. Hillary can barely get 25 people in line. Why is Hillary not in jail?
Because the FBI and the Justice Department are just as corrupt as the entire Obama administration.
Good answer, and the proper one. Now, another question for you is this. If all of this is true, which it is, and if we are sitting out here in America wondering why this is being allowed to carry on, and why nobody, and I mean nobody in the military or anybody else who is in power in any of the businesses around the country, nobody is willing to stand up and say all of these people need to be removed from office immediately. Why is nobody willing to do that?
Well, the Obama administration, early on in the administration, dismantled the military. He got rid of about 67 good leaders. And I think in the back of his head, he was always afraid of a military coup because he knew this was going to happen. So the only way around this is to kill the entire administration being corrupt. The only way out of this is for us to educate the low information people or the people that are constantly being fed the BS by the media because they believe in this crap.
Well, I know that for a fact, and I try to do it myself all the time, but I run into the people that are determined to vote for Hillary Clinton because she has a vagina. Okay, we want to talk about Milwaukee because tonight, our soon-to-be President Trump at 9 o'clock, and I hope all of you are watching and listening because he's very important. Everything he says and does is important. Is giving us a speech on law and order, and he's giving it from Milwaukee, which is having its fourth night of possible riots because we have Black Lives Matter rioting there. Why do they always riot? Are they always short of toilet paper? And now In God I Do Trust is going to tell us.
Well, I woke up the other morning and I saw the headlines, and I said, wait a minute, you're telling me that a black policeman shot a black criminal, and then the blacks are rioting against the white people. That
Exactly
doesn't
what I'm
make any
saying.
sense to me.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Doesn't Sheriff Klopp come from Milwaukee?
Yes, he does. And he was on television this morning, and he was talking about the reasons why, and he was very indignant, and he said that the reason for all of this is because there are no men in the households. There are no fathers for 80% of these children. They have nobody to discipline them, nobody to look up to, nobody that comes home and asks them how their day went, nobody that knows they're alive. And he said, and he did say, this goes back to Lyndon Johnson.
Yes, it does. Lyndon Johnson said, if there's a man in the household, you are not going to get a welfare check. So the whole plan was to destroy the family, keep the men and the role models out of the picture, and they could, live off the government dole for the rest of their lives. Remember what he said, Johnson? He's going to have black people voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And he didn't use those words, but
No,
I'm not about to go there.
As far as we're talking about, this is exactly what happened. The black family was dismantled in 1964 by the Great Society bullshit, and all it did was cause reverse discrimination against every other color in the country, lower all of our educational standards, destroy our biggest cities, and put so many people on welfare that they have now become what's called a privileged class because they think they don't have to work while everybody else goes out and pays their bills. Not to be the way it is. Go ahead, In God I Do Trust.
Well, I don't know what else to say about that, Holly, honestly. And I hope this time our military vote gets counted, because the last two times I think they just threw them away. Now, and hopefully, you're not going to find Minnesota Senator Al Franken driving down here with a trunk full of ballots for Hillary in case there's a recount.
That they found in his trunk.
They found in his
I
trunk.
remember that.
I had an 18-wheeler coming down with the name Acorn on it. A whole truck full of ballots.
They stole that election. They stole that election for Franken. They stole that election. Yes, they did. Absolutely. And they got away with it. I never dreamed they would, but they did.
He's a Democrat, that's why.
All
Let
right.
me ask you this real quick though. With everything we talked about, corruption and, DOJ, FBI, who would somebody report voter fraud to? Who's going to do anything about it? Media wouldn't.
No, but he's trying. He's got a big thing asking for people to volunteer. I volunteered actually for here. He's asking for people who are willing to go to the polls and be watching.
All watches, yeah.
He's asking for people who will do that,
Okay.
and that's going to be a lot of people. And I volunteer. I don't know if they'll get back to me or not, but I think he really has to have that. I mean, he is going to have the people they always have anyway, but I don't think they should have machines at all. 'Cause I know my vote was changed. My vote was changed.
Yeah.
It was. I watched it.
Getting back to Soros, he owns the company that owns the
machines.
Diebold, D-I-E-B-O-L-D. Demand paper ballots.
Well, that's what I've been saying. Now, we have to reiterate that, because you can have paper ballots if you insist, if you demand it, and get a receipt for your vote.
I didn't tell you something last week when we spoke, was when I went to vote this last time, the lady asked me for an ID,
Yes.
a voter ID.
Right.
And I said, I looked at her, I said, isn't that racist? She looked at me, why would I say that? I said, that's what the Democrats keep complaining about. And she looked at me like, and then it was, I live in a state where it's, you have to ask for a Republican or Democratic ballot. When I asked for the Republican, they were looking at me like I had three heads.
I want to thank you very much, In God I Do Trust, for being an absolutely funny guest, full of information. It was a distinct pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, thank you so much, Holly, for having me, and I hope you'll have me back.
I definitely
Hey,
will.
can I be a talking head now?
Good night.